flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Botowski.
Present.
Trustee Nasir.
Present.
Trustee Gator.
Present.
Trustee Wall.
Present.
Trustee Sterlini.
Present.
Trustee Willis. Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. On to adoption of the agenda. Be it resolved that the Board of Education accepts the August 31st, 2023 agenda as presented. The board member may request an item or items be moved from the consent agenda to superintendent's recommendations. Just want to publicly say I apologize for the printed agendas not being available at the table. We will get them there, but for your viewing, they are up on the projectors. Okay. Is there a motion? So moved. So moved by Trustee Botowski. Is there support? Supported by Vice President Wall. Is there a discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis, yes. Trustee Sterlini. Yes. Trustee Wall.
Yes.
Trustee Botowski.
Yes.
Trustee Nasir.
Yes.
Trustee Gator.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you for that. On to public comment on agenda items only. Is there any public comment to come before the board on agenda items only? We do have a mic today. I believe it's not on, so you will have to flip the button up. Again, is there any public comment on agenda items only? Last time, any public comment on agenda items only? Hearing and seeing none. Thank you. On to resignation of Hamza Abu Salah, School Board of Education, which is exhibit number 1 in your packets. Be resolved that the Board of Education accepts the resignation of Hamza Abu Salah from the Dearborn Heights District 7 School Board of Education. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Vice President Wall. Is there support? Support. Supported by Trustee Nasser. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis, yes. Trustee Sterlini. Yes. Trustee Botowski.
Yes.
Trustee Nasir. Yes. Trustee Wall.
Yes.
Trustee Gator.
Yes. Motion carries. On to interview of Board of Education candidates. Before we go into that process, I do have a statement that I would like to read to help the community and board understand what this process will entail today. And again, it's in the spirit of transparency and for everyone to make sense of what we do today. Okay? Good evening. The process of appointing someone to fill a board vacancy is important and can be challenging. Thank you to everyone for being here tonight, and a special thank you to our candidates who are willing and selfless enough to want to be in this role. To the board and community, please remember that grace and support in the event that something seems off may be required. However, we do have experience with making appointments to fill board vacancies, and I feel confident we can succeed tonight. To make matters ethical, clear, concise, and uniform as possible, please listen carefully to hear the process the board will use tonight. We have requested that it be live streamed with all AV equipment tested and ready to go. We have 3 candidates to interview who have all met the previously communicated deadline and requirements. At the table, the board will find a list of interview questions, each candidate's resume and interest letter. Each board member was assigned 1 to 2 questions to ask. It is recommended that each question be read to each candidate the same way without emotion. This is to eliminate or manage biases. All candidates will be excused to wait outside of the meeting or the cafeteria. We have chairs out there for all of our candidates, and waters are also provided. I will welcome in candidate number 1. As previously communicated, the interview will go in alphabetical order by last name. Again, that was also noted on the notice to the public. Each candidate will have up to 25 minutes, and there will be a timer to answer all questions. Candidates will also be allowed to ask 1 to 2 questions to the board if they choose, which is optional. After all interviews are completed, the board can then take a recess if need be. Please just let me know. Please remember we learned that recesses are for legitimate breaks, not for deliberation. Upon returning, if we need to, I will open the floor for nominations. The board's process for nominations will sound and look somewhat different than in past years. I recommend, and for the record, I checked with MASB, and I had conversations with each of the board members today before moving forward with this, that a board member moves to nominate all candidates for discussion to be considered for the appointment. If seconded, each board member will then, within reasonable time, deliberate. And what's been recommended for deliberation is that respectfully, we say when we appreciated or did not appreciate with a very positive tone from the interviews tonight without saying any names or specifics. And then you feel free to say your top pick from the candidates. At that time, you can also take time to review the packets, since this is the first time most of us have seen them. In full transparency, the packets were asked to be sent to Secretary Winless and Susan, and then they were also forwarded to me and then forwarded to the board. Susan will then tally who had the most votes at that time, per se. Once that person is identified, I will then present a resolution to appoint that candidate to the Dearborn Heights District 7 School Board of Education, pending the completion of necessary verifications and certifications by law. The board's aim is to have that person be sworn in at the beginning of the 9/6/2023 regular meeting, unless something prevents it. Please let me know if anyone has any questions about that, and if not, let's go D7. Are there any questions? Hearing and seeing none? Thank you. Be resolved that the Board of Education shall conduct interviews for the open Dearborn Heights District 7 School Board of Education position. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Trustee Biltowski. Supported by Secretary Winless. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Winless, yes. Trustee Sterlini? Yes. Trustee Nasser? Yes. Trustee Biltowski?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Yes.
Trustee Gayton?
Yes, thank you. Motion carries. We'll now open the floor to our interviews. And if we could ask for the two interviewees who are not our first person by last name alphabetical order, to please excuse yourself. Again, you will find the chairs outside of the meeting room, and you will have a water.
They don't know each other. They don't know who's running.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Our first candidate to be interviewed would be Mandy Dyroff. Our second candidate to be interviewed will be Alyssa Howard. Our third candidate to be interviewed will be Margaret King. So I will ask for Margaret King and Alyssa Howard to excuse themselves. Thank you so much. And again, you can find chairs and waters outside. And we will close the door. And then we will ask for Ms. Dyroff to meet us at the table to begin the interview.
That was the same thing when we even did the interviews for the school, for the superintendent. They had the opportunity.
Yes, please. Take a moment for Treasurer Sterlini to shut the door. Thank you for that. Would you like another water, Ms. Todd?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for that. Okay, on to interview questions. Again, welcome, Mrs. Dyroff, and thank you for being here tonight. I will turn it over to Vice President Wall with the first two questions.
Good afternoon. My first question is, what is the best way to address differences of opinion on the board or between the board and the administration?
I'm sorry. Differences in opinion amongst the board and between the board and administration. That's one question. I think communication. I think it's very important to be able to communicate how you feel, to be heard, have it respected by everyone, be able to share your opinion, and whether it's with board members or whether it is with the board and the superintendent, I think communication is a key piece.
Thank you. My next question is, what would you do if one of our decisions was not popular with the staff? Would you say anything through social media regarding such decision?
Having been on the board before and made decisions that were not popular by staff, no, I would never do that.
Thank you. I will now pass this to Secretary Winless.
What do you feel would be a strength that you would bring forth to the school board?
I feel that one of my strengths is that I have lived here for 40 years, that I have nothing but dedication to District 7, the students, the staff, the parents, our community as a whole. I'm invested. I've been involved for years and years. I continue to be involved, and I would, whether I made it to this board seat or not. I feel that I do have experience having been on the board before. I do not think that I have all the answers. I want to be part of moving the district forward. And that is, I feel that my experience is probably my strongest point. Thank you.
And what do you believe is the role of the Board of Education?
I believe that we hire and we fire a superintendent should that need to take place. I believe that we set policy. I believe that we serve our community in the best way that we can individually and as a group. I believe that we hire the best superintendent in hopes that they would hire the best staff. We support our staff, and we do that by our votes. What comes to the table is how I would support that. And sometimes I, like everybody else, I might not agree with something, and you have that opportunity to vote no. But I believe that that's our role. Hiring a superintendent and setting board policies so that the administration and staff know how to run the district.
Thank you. That concludes my 2 questions. I'll now pass it to President Gates.
Thank you. Okay, thank you again. A community member comes to you with information that could hurt or benefit the district, and they ask you not to say anything. How do you handle this?
Well, yes, it depends on the issue. To be perfectly honest with you, it depends on the issue. If it was something that was going to hurt the district that I felt very strongly about, I would probably tell the person that I have to share this with administration. And then it's generally when something like that happens, if you're the board president and you get that call, you automatically share it. If that's what you decide to do. If I, as a board member, though, I would want to share it with the president first and have that president share it with the administration. That's a bit, I felt it was really something that was going to be a bombshell, for example, or cause issues down the line. And I would tell that person that I was doing that. I would be upfront and honest about that. And if it was a benefit to the district, I can't imagine that they would want it shared to begin with.
In what ways have you served the D7 school district already? For example, PTO, coach, committee, etc.
PTO. School board member from 1996 on and off to 2020 or 2022. I've served as board president. I've served in the building and site committee. I've served on board policy. I've served in finance. I've served in technology, and I've been chair of each of those committees. I've served on the PTOs when my kids were in school, and then even as a board member, I have tried to volunteer and serve on those PTOs as well. I've never been a coach, or haven't asked anyone for me to coach. My athletic ability is slim.
Thank you for that. I will pass it on to trustee Nadia Massey.
Hello, welcome. My first question is, what are your key takeaways from the district's most recent strategic plan?
I have to be honest with you, I have not reviewed it. I was not happy, to be perfectly honest with you, with the process. I felt that it should have been more open and more people involved. And so, to be perfectly honest with you, I have not read the strategic plan. And I'm not sure that I have witnessed any discussion about it since then. Since it was approved the end of last year. I'm not sure that as we make decisions as a board, that it's been, oh, how does this affect the strategic plan? I haven't heard that either. So I will, if I am successful, I will review the strategic plan and see how we're making decisions and where those fit in. But I have not, in all honesty.
All right, and the second question is, what motivates you to want to become a board member?
Again, my dedication to District 7, my want right now to be part of a team that moves the district forward. And basically, my love of the ask for this.
That's it for me, thank you.
Please announce who will go next.
Oh, sorry. Trustee Belkowski?
Thank you. How can you contribute to a successful board meeting?
Reviewing the packet, knowing what's coming forward, asking my questions in advance, and asking them at the meeting as well. Knowing what's coming to the table and being part of the conversation.
Thank you. What are at least 3 character traits you need to be a productive board member and why?
Oh. Patience. Be patient. It's hard being a board member. You have to be able to communicate and share how you feel. You have to be willing to listen and sometimes hear the hard stuff. But you have to be able to understand that everyone is different and they come to the table with different thoughts and feelings on issues, and be willing to be part of just understanding and being part of the discussion. And so I feel that communication, listening, and patience are the 3 characteristics.
Thank you. I'm going to pass it on to Trustee Sterling.
Welcome. Thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Being a board member in a close-knit community has its pros and cons. If you are the chosen candidate, how will you manage the pressures of not sharing confidential information?
Don't do it. Bottom line, don't do it. You know, if you're not supposed to, you shouldn't. It's confidential, and you just have to, when you're asked, just say, I cannot discuss it, and you just don't do it.
Thank you. As a board member, where would you look to make budget cuts?
Well, one of our strengths right now, from everything that I've seen and attended at meetings, is that we have money. So I don't know where we will make cuts because we seem to have money right now. We're adding programs, we're adding staff. So I don't really know where I would make cuts because it seems like there's money. I have not reviewed the budget. But it does seem like there's money for things that they're bringing forward. So they're bringing forward programs and not things to cut, at least from what I have witnessed in watching meetings or attending meetings. And furthermore, I want to just say, I am only one board member, as everyone else says. So to ask me what I would do, I need 3 other people backing me up before anything's ever done. Anything that I ever want done, there has to be at least 3 other people that agree with me. So, but back to your question, in terms of budget cuts, I have to think.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That concludes the questions.
Oh, it does.
Number 2.
And so for an option for you, would you like to ask the board 1 to 2 questions if you're choosing?
I do. Okay. You mentioned that whoever the successful candidate is would not be sworn in until September 6th.
That's what I asked for.
So if that's the case, there would be no information shared about that meeting prior to September 6th. That person is just expected to come to that meeting, be sworn in, and receive their packet there.
No. So on our agenda today, there is a resolution for the board to appoint someone.
Okay.
Just the technical oath of office piece will happen either before or after that meeting.
Okay.
Our aspiration is that, again, that chosen person will be able to sit and take action
Okay.
at that meeting.
I was just curious.
Yeah, no problem.
I wondered if that was the case. So I
Yep.
appreciate that. That's my only question.
You're very welcome.
And do I get to stay?
Yes.
Okay.
You are, well, I'll ask the board. Does the board feel comfortable with our candidate staying, or do we want our candidate to stay? Okay. All right, I'm hearing yes, so the answer is yes. Thank you so
I
much.
have no other question. Thank you all for your time. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so we will now welcome in our second interviewee. Good question. Good question.
Thank you.
Good question. Okay, you'll do that? Go get the next one. Thank you so much. I'm like, yeah, right? Run the team. Wherever's gonna sit at. Good evening, welcome back.
Thank you. Let me just set this up.
Yeah, of course. Okay, good evening and welcome. Thank you for being here again today. We have a list of questions to be able to ask you, and each board member has a set again of 1 to 2 questions. So I will turn it over to Vice President Law for his first 2 questions.
Thank you for coming. My first question is, what is the best way to address differences of opinion on the board or between the board and the administration?
I feel like the best way to address differences of opinion is having a casual but formal conversation, understand each other's differences, show respect, and in the end, we are all a team. So it is important that we all come to a solid conclusion that would be the best for our district moving forward.
Thank you. What would you do if one of our decisions was not popular with the staff? Would you say anything through social media regarding such a decision?
No, I would not go through social media. If there is a move that we make that our administration and staff members are not fond of, I believe we should be able to open up communication and ask them why they aren't fond of it, speak to them of what they think would work better for them. We are here to make their jobs easier and to help support our district. So I think the best way of going about it is to see how they feel and see what they think would be better.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to pass this to Secretary Reynolds.
Thank you. What do you feel would be a strength that you could bring forward to the school board?
I feel like some of the strengths I can bring is I am fresh out of Annapolis High School, so I do have that fresh insider perspective of what these students go through day to day. I do have healthy communication with students still currently in our district, as well as some of our teachers and staff members, and I have a strong connection, like a good relationship with you as the board members, and I feel like that will bring about positive communication, and I hope that it will help things run smoother as a board and a district.
Thank you. And what do you believe the role of the Board of Education is?
I believe the role of the Board of Education is not only to support the staff, but to think of what would be best for our students. We gotta think about every outcome. We have to think of what's the best ways to support them, whether it is academically, mentally, physically, in every sense of the word. So really, it all comes down to being a good support system and a good role model for our district from present to the future.
Thank you. And after that, I will pass it to President Gator.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome. A community member comes to you with information that could hurt or benefit the district, and they ask you to not say anything. How do you handle this?
I feel like it would mainly depend on the circumstances, but what's most important is the Board of Education is, once again, a unit and a team. It is best to bring about any concerns with all of us so that we can make the proper decisions and moves to support our district and our schools.
Thank you. A second question. In what ways have you served in the D7 school district already? For example, PTO, coach, committee, etc.
I am currently seated in our policy committee. I have served on the Annapolis Student Council for 3 years. I have served as a National Honor Society member for 2 years. I was on Key Club International my entire high school career. I have helped create events for fundraising for community members in need. I have also been on Students Against Disruptive Decisions. I'm sorry for I was also on Students Help End World Suffering, and I've participated in several organizations that can contribute to making our district and school better.
Thank you. I will now turn it over to Trustee Nadia Nassar.
Welcome. The first question is, what are your key takeaways from the district's most recent strategic plan?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
What are your key takeaways from the district's most recent strategic plan?
Well, I understand that some of the main focuses are equity, inclusion, and providing better resources for our students and staff, and I think that is wonderful. I think it is great that we are finally taking all of this into account. I was at the strategic planning, and I thought all the ideas that were flowing in were great, and I am glad to see that we have since, as a district, covered those specific topics and issues, and I think that's also very wonderful. I think it's important to continue working towards our goal with the strategic plan, such as continuing to provide resources for students, finding new resources that we can use, and just figuring out how to work towards our goals as a whole.
All right, and the next question is, what motivates you to want to become a board member?
What motivates me is, well, I have to think about it. What motivates me is really the students, our families, our faculty, our staff. All of that is important. We need to look out for the well-being, mental health, and physical health of our staff and students. We have to think about what's best for them academically, and the whole idea as a district is we are giving them the basic knowledge and education they need so that they can pursue whatever they would like in life, whether it's the workforce, whether it's college, whether it's trade school. Our goals is to make sure that our families are supported and make sure our students have everything they need to succeed in life. And that's why I feel like this board is important.
Thank you, and now I'll pass it on to trustee Beltoski.
Thank you. How can you contribute to a successful board meeting?
I feel like I can contribute considering I still have that fresh insight of what our students go through day to day. And I do have healthy communications with several members of the community. I also have active listening skills. I am a great note taker. I know how to communicate with others, and I think those are some good traits to have for a board meeting.
Next question. What are at least 3 character traits you need to be a productive board member and why?
I feel like 3 productive traits would include being able to listen and communicate, being able to respect others, and understanding that, you know, you might not always agree with whoever you're talking to, but having that mutual respect is important. And then it's also the idea of being able to research, being able to learn about what you're about to make decisions on, and taking that into account of how that will impact our students, families, staff, and faculty. And I think those are 3 traits that would be important.
Thank you. All right, now moving questions to Treasurer Sterlini.
Welcome. Being a board member in a close-knit community has its pros and cons. If you are the chosen candidate, how will you manage the pressures of not sharing confidential information?
Well, for one, I do not post that much on social media, so that does play a factor. And really, our decisions should not be shared or made without the consent of all of us. It's all about being transparent without breaking laws or overstepping.
Last question. As a board member, where would you look to make budget cuts?
I feel like it all depends on where our district is at the said moment. I cannot say right now where I think budget cuts should be made, but rather, depending on where our district is at, research and see where it would be best to make the budget cut.
President Gator?
Okay. Thank you again, Ms. Howard, for coming today. We can now hear 1 to 2 questions from you, since we still have time on the clock for you to be able to ask for it.
I guess my question is, what would be the best traits or the best ways to go about becoming a successful board member?
Okay. Does any board member want to take up that question? Vice President Wall?
Since nobody else is going to jump on that, I'm going to say one of the things that from being a board member, what I would notice and what I've seen, through audience participation is those that watch the board meetings or come and sit at some of the board meetings, I think it's something where you get a vast knowledge, because even though you're not on the board, you see kind of what's going on. And that to me, I think is something that's very helpful. Anybody else?
Yeah. One thing, and I agree with Vice President Wall, I would like to add that like being a board member, one of the character traits that I think is very important is being honest and integral. And I think it's very difficult to do that, especially when you don't know or don't have the answer to something. But it's always best to say, I don't know, instead of like pretending to know. And then we risk sharing information or making actions out of misinformed or uninformed information.
Of course.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing seeing none. Do you have one other question for us?
I don't have any more questions at all. I think this was a wonderful conversation, however, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So feel free to stay if you would like, and then we will welcome in the next interview. Everyone doing okay? Good evening and welcome again, Mrs. King.
Good evening.
So the board has again a set of questions we would like to ask you, and each board member has been given 1 to 2 interview questions. Okay, I will now turn it over to Vice President Wall for his questions.
Thanks for coming. My first question is, what is the best way to address differences of opinion on the board or between the board and the administration?
Compromise. We all have to come to a conclusion. We are all here for the children, the board, everybody. Compromise.
Thank you. My next question is, what would you do if one of our decisions was not popular with the staff? Would you say anything through social media regarding such decisions?
No. 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 I don't have anything else. No. What happens on the board stays on the board.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to pass the questions to Secretary Williams.
Thank you. And what do you feel would be a strength that you could bring forth to the school board?
I have been in D7 my whole life. I grew up here. I still reside here. Just seeing the differences that everything has gone through throughout the years, different opinions, different, hope to offer better opportunity.
Point of order,
Yes. Trustee Gutowski.
can we stop the timer, please? That's distracting, and I don't feel that it's fair to our candidate to have to listen to that.
I agree with you. We apologize, Ms. King, for that interruption. I'm not sure where that bill even came from. Susan, do we know? It was from the audience? Yes. Okay. So just as a friendly reminder to the audience, please quiet your devices so it's not distracting to anyone here tonight.
I
Again, I
think the question should be repeated.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Secretary Williams.
What do you?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's still Vice President Wall.
No, it's Leslie.
It is Leslie.
It's okay. What do you feel would be a strength that you could bring forth to the school board? And you should stand.
That's true.
Yeah, I've been here my whole life. I still reside here. The differences that this community face would like to help and bring safety and opportunities, better opportunities to our children, our students.
Thank you. And what do you believe the role of the school, of the Board of Education is?
The foundation of their school systems.
Thank you, and I will pass the questions on to President Gates.
Thank you, Secretary Willis. My first question is, a community member comes to you with information that could hurt or benefit the district, and they ask you not to say anything. How would you handle this?
Question. Is this issue? Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
No problem. A community member comes to you with information that could hurt or benefit the district, and they ask you not to say anything. How do you handle this?
I would ask them why wouldn't they want me to say anything.
Is it their opinion that it would hurt, or is it substantially really gonna hurt the board?
Question number 2, in what ways have you served the D7 school district already? For example, PTO, coach, committee, etc.
In D7 schools, volunteer, and when my son was attending D7, volunteer year, lunch month.
Thank you. I'll now turn it over to trustee Nadia.
Welcome. My first question is, what are your key takeaways from the district's most recent strategic plan?
In regards to,
So I would say just please, if I may interrupt, just reiterate or repeat the question for the sake of uniformity.
What are your key takeaways from the district's most recent strategic plan?
I don't know how to answer that, honestly.
Well, she said she does not.
I don't know how to give a defined answer, to be honest with you.
We can move on to the next question. The next question is, what motivates you to want to become a board member?
The children. The children are our future. The children need us. They're the future. All for the children.
Thank you, and I will now pass it on to trustee Beltowski.
Thank you. My first question is, how can you contribute to a successful board meeting?
With my background of working with children my whole life, from teenage years up until now, and currently I do. I love working with the children, and they are the future, and let's give them something to look forward to.
Thank you. My next question, what are at least 3 character traits you need to be a productive board member and why?
Drive, passion, and love.
I'm going to pass the questions to Treasurer Sterling.
Being a board member in a close-knit community has its pros and cons. If you are the chosen candidate, how will you manage the pressures of not sharing confidential information?
It's nobody's business but the board's.
Last question. As a board member, where would you look to make budget cuts?
I know that budget cuts have to happen. That would be something that I would have to do my research on and see what would better fit our district.
Thank you. I'll pass it to President Dager.
Thank you for that. So you can now ask the board 1 to 2 questions, and again, that is optional.
I think I'm okay.
Okay? Thank you so much for being here tonight. Feel free to stay for the rest of the meeting, and you may now be excused.
Thank you.
Okay. I definitely would like to take a small recess. Are the board members okay with that? Okay, can we give a time for that? 10 minutes, be okay? Okay, it is 7:43. I will see you all back at 7:53. Thank you. How long was the recess?
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
7:53.
9 minutes.
All right, I got time to go outside.
By the time I get up, 7.
Definitely mark the shut the door.
Oh, no, you're.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Someone could actually report it for me. Yeah. Don't use it. Seven 53.
Don't come back without me. Oh, I can go out the front now.
Yeah, I'm hearing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I guess that would be as Is it because of the?
The keys, but also the sound. Things I'm hearing or the words.
I mean, if they were doing out for the, I'm okay with that. No, it's more professional and it's more comfortable. People, if we don't have this many people fill up, we just need to improve the sound. That's something we just need to fix. We got a new person. What's I said? We want to do the next couple of shirts. Long term.
What do you think about her walking?
I think really, but if it's something just in regards to, I think we're talking, 2 or 3 meetings. Well, it needs to be brought up. All right, we're going to be. That would be good. My suggestion is that would be brought
But we didn't vote, we talked about it.
Because I
And I speak about my permanent appearance, not the way people are not constantly switching around.
Yeah.
A little clarity.
I'm not also kind of talking about visit also.
that's too hard.
I don't think I was traveling because Bedford, Bedford like
Here.
maybe that was a community forum.
Maybe we do need to bring it.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. There you go.
But I'm just letting you know.
Thank you,
I want to be able to voice my opinion and hear everybody else's opinion. And a meeting.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. We can do it in other days next week.
Yeah, or you can change the agenda. They can go for superintendent's report or something.
I think but I hear you. But again, I want to like.
Well, the only problem though is put it in other business unless you have some other business. The public won't be able to make a comment.
They already been coming.
No, is other business after public comment too?
Yes.
So if it's mentioned maybe that it's going up at public, I mean, it's other business.
You can honestly, I'll mention that.
Right, and then that way they can make, if they know what's making it good.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's.
Oh, that man there is, but I'm gonna take it as a compliment.
How you leave?
Okay.
It's your motion. It's one of the,
No, yeah, that's all we said. I was like,
just like the,
we're tapping your hand on the table. Yeah, yeah.
it's the big one. Yeah. Well, this is last year's. Really kind of took me
This one's for
Because that would be something you do.
That's
One minute warning. Prayers. How to be a millionaire? No.
I'll remember to mail the
I had to smile. My daughter has like
relax.
at least for me. I'm going to. My daughter girl, like, we're all amazing. I
All right. Sorry. Yes, you may.
So then I'm gonna read.
That's right.
Okay.
If you choose.
Or I can say, I'd like to make a
Say whatever
motion.
you want to say. You don't have to follow my recommendation, but I did recommend it. Okay, it is now 7:53 and we will resume the meeting. I will not, if everybody's ready. Yes, sorry. No, you're fine. I will now open the floor for nominations to appoint said candidate. Are there any nominations? President Wall?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for the board to nominate Mandy Dyroff, Melissa Howard, and Margaret King for the open Dearborn Heights District 7 School Board of Education position, so we can review the candidates.
Okay, is there a motion by Vice President Wall? Is there support? Supported by Trustee Volkowski. And as recommended, I will now, by way of the roll call, the way it's listed in your packets, ask for each member to deliberate, take time to review anything you wrote down, but at the end of that, say who would be your top choice. And again, we will have Susan tally that up, and whomever has the most picks at that time I will seek a motion to appoint said person. So starting with Treasurer Sterling, if you,
Wrong person first. So, this board is new. I know we have a couple that have been on the board for 2 years, but as we've seen how this year has gone, I think we need more experienced people. Candidate 1 has that experience. Candidate 1 helped build the book that we utilize. So for me, I appreciate the other candidates, but there's just not enough experience there for me. So I am in favor of candidate 1.
thank you. On to Vice President Wall, next on that roll
Thank you. So, I actually found positive on all 3 of them, and I just wanted to hit the key factor on each candidate before I give my top pick. Candidate 1, the part that I really caught my ears, I guess, was the years of experience in that. Candidate 2, I was really excited about the involvement with the strategic planning meeting in that. I actually saw that candidate actually participate. That was really exciting. And then candidate 3, what I really felt really excited about was the concern about the safety, student safety. So all 3 candidates, I really liked everything that they hit there. But when it comes to top choice, I would be going with candidate number 1.
On to Secretary Winless.
Thank you. I think I'm probably the same format. I feel like trustee Wallace in my head. I'm do a positive thing about each candidate. For candidate 1, it was the years of experience that stuck out to me, but also the focus on communication, which I think is something that we struggle with or get better at. For candidate number 2, I see the participation in the strategic plan as well as the policy committee. I think the policy committee is one of our most important committees that we have. And then I also like that we could have another voice for the voice of the students at the table. And then for candidate 3, I like compromise. She's the only candidate that said that as a response, and it stood out to me because we do have to compromise a lot to be able to get to the end result of making things happen. And her focus on making sure that we understand.
I have some positive things that I wanted to say about all 3 candidates. Candidate number 1, definitely the experience, the years of experience, but also the way that candidate number 1 answered the questions. I really appreciated and respected that. Candidate number 2, again, the respect for staff, the support. I liked that candidate number 2 talked about being a support system for our district, supporting staff, supporting students, that came up over and over and over again, and supporting our students again. For candidate number 3, I respected the fact that she was the only one who used the word compromise. And again, just coming back to children. And so you can hear the passion in candidate number 3's responses. With that being said, I also agree with Secretary Winless and to say that we having 1 year left for this term, having the experience would greatly improve us. So my pick is number 1.
On to Trustee Nassar.
This was a great round of interviews. I definitely feel like they did so much better than I did. And I really appreciate all the passion and the dedication that every single candidate brings to this table. And for me, again, like I said, everyone is equally as passionate in different ways. I truly believe that candidate 1 and candidate 2 thoroughly impressed me. I think candidate 2 has a fresh, unique perspective. However, I do think candidate 1 has lots of experience and due to the fact seeing that she does have the majority, I will have to go with candidate 1.
Thank you. I appreciated that publicly and, you know, front and behind the scenes. For candidate number 2, I appreciate the passion. I appreciate the teamwork type spirit that candidate echoed. And I appreciate that candidate is connected to the students and can effectively share the student voice. For candidate number 3, I like that candidate has a strong focus on children and safety. I think that's something we don't talk about enough in our district, and I can appreciate someone who cares about that and has the wherewithal and the knowledge to be able to bring that to our team potentially. So with that being said, I appreciate each of the candidates for being here this evening, and my top pick would be candidate number 3. Okay, and so I will turn it over to Susan to tell us who has the most top picks before I move forward with the resolution.
Candidate number 1 on 5 votes.
Okay, please everyone take note of that. Candidate number 1 for 5 votes. Okay, I can now entertain a motion to appoint the candidate who has the most votes.
I make a motion to approve Manny Barrow as the board trustee to fill the vacancy made by trustee Epsom.
Okay, is there support? Supported by Treasurer Sterlini. Is there a discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Sterling.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Secretary Lewis, the roll call here. Can we go ahead and just for the sake of the last one?
Oh, I'm on the wrong page.
And I guess I should have said point of order, I apologize.
You do.
Okay.
Beltowski, right?
Yep.
Trustee Beltowski?
Yes.
Trustee Winless? Yes. Trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Yes.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Gator?
Yes, motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Barrow, for your appointment. Okay, on to public comment number 2. Is there any?
Say we had some amazing candidates. It was really exciting to see them come out, interview. It went really well. I like the new way of doing it. Good job on that. I did want to talk about our Facebook page. So we post a lot of things on there, like Trail Mix Day and other things that kind of are that big a video. What we don't post is the high school football games, the middle school stuff. I know sometimes there is some things shared from maybe the school pages, but I had to search high and low today to find out what time exactly the football game was. I mean, there's postings from kids, but I needed to know for sure before I dropped Sam off what time the game was, and we don't have that. So I think, I don't know if K-12 still runs our social media, but it would be nice to see more district-related things on there instead of random things to fill the page up. That's it for me today.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. Is there any other public comments to come before the board? Any other public comments to come before the board? Last call. Any other public comments to come before the board? Hearing and seeing none. Is there a motion to adjourn at 8:04 p.m.?
So moved.
Motion by Secretary Willis. Is there support? Supported by Trustee Belkowski. Is there discussion? Okay. To the board, what I will also do next, and I've worked with Susan and Mark on this, we have to have this dialogue over the necessary paperwork. And then again, the plan is for her to take the oath of office either before or at the 9/6 meeting, so she can officially sit in her seat and take her role. Okay, sounds good. No other discussion points? Roll call, please.
Trustee Winless? Yes. Trustee Beltowski?
Yes.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Sterling?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Yes.
Trustee Gator?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you all again and have a safe night.
I love it when it goes off in the middle of the night, too.
Oh, gosh.
I feel like he's getting close.